Jasenovac, bolna tema za sve na ovim prostorima. Na Balkanu, za Srbe posebno, ali i za Rome i Jevreje. Dok za Hrvate je to tema kojoj se ne priča i, da kažem, kojoj bi valjalo prećutati. Ipak da vidimo šta kažu istorijski udžbenici, šta kažu stručni sagovornici i šta kažu zaista ljudi pozvani da pričaju o toj temi. Procena preživjelih i rekapitulacija prema ljudima koji su preživjeli ovaj zločin. Kaže ovako: Dužemlić Milan, preživjeli logoraš Hrvat, izjava od 18. maja 1945. godine Zemaljskoj komisiji Hrvatske za utvrđivanje zločina okupatora i njihovih pomagača. On je tvrdio da je bilo 1.400.000 žrtava. Bind Julio, preživjeli logoraš Jevreji, Marić Mihajlo, preživjeli logoraš Srbin, tvrdili su da je bilo 900.000 žrtava. Cadik Danon, preživjeli logoraš Jevrejin, tvrdi da je bilo na 100.000 žrtava. Dok, da kažem, procena data u zvaničnoj enciklopediji Jugoslavije, objavljena u Zagrebu 1962. godine, kaže da je žrtava bilo preko 700.000. Procene nacista, one kažu ovako: Herman Neubehaer, specijalni punomoćnik Ministarstva spoljnih poslova Trećeg rajha za Jugoslaviju, kaže da je bilo 750.000 žrtava. Ernst Filk, general major nemačkih SS trupa, u pismu Himmleru 16. marta 1944. godine kaže da je u Jasenovcu ubijeno od 600 do 700.000 žrtava. Kao što vidite, razne su priče, razne su procene. Imam dobar predlog. Gideon Grajf, ekspert za Auschwitz, napisao je knjigu koja je u mojim rukama i koja se zove Jasenovac, Auschwitz Balkana. Hajde da pozovemo Gideona Grajfa da vidimo njegovo mišljenje. Dobrodošli u još jednu emisiju Razgovori sa Zlojutrom, koja je zaista ekskluzivna.
I'm very satisfied to be here. It's a big honor for me. Thank you.
Profesore, nakon toliko istraživanja, nakon toliko godina rada, naučnih radova o zločinu u Jasenovcu, šta nam danas možete reći više o tom masovnom ubijanju ljudi u nezavisnoj državi Hrvatskoj tokom Drugog svjetskog rata? Šta se zaista dogodilo tamo?
I've dedicated the last 10 years for very intensive research on the chain of camps under the title of Jasenovac. This was a huge territory of torture, humiliation, and death, spreading on 240 square kilometers. This is 6 times more than Auschwitz-Birkenau, which had only 40 square kilometers. So it's a big kingdom of death in which horrible crimes were perpetrated by the Croat USTAŠA against Serbs, mainly against Serbs, against Jews, against Roma, and against everybody who was arrested and brought there by force to be tortured and then to be murdered. It is really hell on earth. If there is a hell, it's Jasenovac. I say the same on Auschwitz, although there were some differences between the two hells of death. But no doubt, Jasenovac was one of the worst concentration and extermination camps in the world. And, we have to think about the suffering of the individuals who were brought there. Every second was torture. Every minute was horrible humiliation. I wonder how a person could survive there. I wouldn't. I wouldn't survive there for 1 second. And the fact that there are survivors of that hell of death is something of really miracle. Anyway, the purpose of the Croat Ustaša was to cause pain, endless suffering of the arrested innocent people who were brought there, and finally to murder them, to kill them. And this is what happened in this kingdom of death called Jasenovac.
Profesore, rekli ste da su nacisti bili suviše meki i blagi u odnosu na Ustaše. Šta ste mislili kada ste to izjavili konkretno i da li su vaše istraživanja to i dokazala?
I would say different, and in several cases also less cruel. The German Nazis preferred a sterile death, which means I'm not touching my victim. I don't want to hold him in my hands while I'm murdering him. Let him die in the gas chamber, and I don't have to look at it if I don't want to. The Ustasha criminals enjoyed holding their victim in their hands, cutting their heads with axes, with knives. They enjoyed it. You can see it from the photos. We have not so many, but we have some photos. They were very proud to murder innocent people and to touch them while they are doing it. While the Germans, as Heinrich Himmler, head of SS, once said, we will keep our hands clean. Germans like cleanliness. The Ustasha don't want to be clean. They want to feel the blood of their victims on their hands. This is a difference. Besides, as I have mentioned in my book, Jasenovac, Auschwitz of the Balkans, which was published in 2018, I have found not less than 57 methods of death which the Ustasha invented. I'm asking you, is it necessary to kill innocent people in 57 ways of killing? I think one is enough, not?
One is
but
enough.
They were very creative in making the death longer, more suffering, more torture. They enjoyed it. They were really, not all of them, but many were sadists, cruel people without any human mercy in their hearts. I really can't understand how a person living on this planet can be so cruel. Not that the Germans were less cruel. They were cruel as well. But the way in which the Ustasha acted was more barbaric. It's like in the ancient times, not in the 20th century.
Profesore, da li onda možemo reći da su Ustaše uživale u patnji svojih žrtava?
As we can see in the photos which we have, and I have in my archives, and according to testimonies of survivors, the few survivors, they enjoyed torturing and killing and inventing new ways of killing. They were so creative in managing death. You know, we normal people, conventional people, we want to live. Absolutely. If we are sick, we want to become healthy. We go to the doctor, please make us healthy. We take medicines, we take injections. Here the opposite. How to cause death. This is absolutely not normal. We live on this planet 80, 90, 100 years, that's it. We have to live, not to die. The one who decides about our death is not the Ustasha and not the German, it's God Almighty, isn't it? So we are living under the instructions of God Almighty, not under the instructions of the cruel Ustasha or cruel Germans. In this case, the Ustasha and the Germans as well wanted to decide when you are going to die. Not God Almighty will decide, we will decide. So they thought they are the kings of life and death. This is absolutely distorted mind. absolutely a distorted mind.
Profesore, postoje mnoge kontroverze u Srbiji kada je u pitanju broj žrtava u Jasenovcu. Kakvo je vaše mišljenje? Da li je broj žrtava ljudi koji su svoj život završili u tim zloglasnim ustaškim logorima zaista bitan?
Really, this question makes me angry, I have to admit, and to be honest with you, because
I understand.
All the critical opinions against my researchers and the researchers of other excellent historians in Serbia and outside all over the world concentrate on numbers. And by concentrating on numbers, you forget that human people were living and suffering there. We have to speak for primarily about the suffering of the individuals and not about the numbers. Not that numbers are not important. Of course they are important, especially in historical research. You have to say how many, if you can, reconstruct it. It's not always easy when there are no corpses, etc. Like in Auschwitz, people were not buried, they were cremated. You cannot find their ashes. Anyway, the obsessive calculation of numbers, this is the number, this is not the number, is making injustice to the suffering of the individuals who were cruelly tortured, humiliated, and murdered. And that's the reason I think we should first of all, speak about the on one hand, about the cruelty of the perpetrators, USTAŠA or German Nazis, or on the suffering of the people who were arrested, the Serbs, the Jews, Roma, and others who were arrested, tortured, humiliated, and murdered. Numbers cannot be number one, and not in this obsessive way some people like to do. I think this is childish, this is stupid, and it doesn't come from real feeling, human feeling towards the victims. I don't know what the purpose of this obsessive calculation is, but it's absolutely not the main topic we should deal with, not the first topic.
Rekli ste da bi svaki čovjek na planeti trebao da posjeti Jasenovac, da ode na mesto stradanja i da se sam uveri u sve te zločine koje su ustaše radile. Kako komentarišete odluke hrvatskih vlasti da neki ljudi čak nisu dobrodošli i zabranjeno im je ulaz u Jasenovac?
Such places like extermination, concentration camps should be free for visit to all people on this planet, because if we will not visit and realize what happened there, we will not be able to prevent it in the future. If you are not aware of something, you cannot plan a better solution for your best future. I think that places like Auschwitz and Jasenovac and Majdanek and Chełmno and Belzec and other camps should never again repeat themselves. I think this is one of the main lessons we have to take from this tragic period. We don't need another Jasenovac, we do not need another Auschwitz. But in order to prevent it, not to have it more and more and more, we have to see what happened there and take the conclusions, the right conclusions to prevent such tragedies. We are living here on this planet for a very short time, as I mentioned in my previous answers. 80, 90, 100, let's say 120 years. I wish this for everybody. But that's it. We have a limited time here. Why do we have to be in concentration camps? Why do we have to die in extermination camps? We don't need it. So, in order to have a better life, and we deserve a better life, we should know what happened. If you, we in Judaism, we have a proverb: if you do not know your past, you will never be prepared for a better future. I repeat, this is a very old Jewish saying. If you are not aware of your past, you will not be able to plan a better future. I think it's a very wise sentence. And the same concerns Auschwitz, Jasenovac and other horrible places like this.
Profesore, koje je vaše mišljenje o dešavanjima u Srebrenici 1995. godine? Da li je to bio zločin ili genocid?
The crimes perpetrated in Srebrenica in 1995 absolutely were not a genocide. There was no such intention. In 1948, the Jewish lawyer Raphael Lemkin formulated exactly what has to be titled as genocide, and what happened in Srebrenica was not according to this formulation. Unfortunately, more than 8,000 Bosniaks were murdered. Our commission, our independent international commission for the research of the events in Srebrenica, condemned heavily this crime and asked for the punishment, for the severe punishment of the perpetrators. This was a crime, but not a genocide. Absolutely. Genocide means to erase all the people, but not only the members of that people, but its heritage, its history, its religion, everything which relates to that people. And this is absolutely not the case. There was no genocide in Srebrenica, and we should be very careful to use terms or definitions when they are not suitable. Otherwise, we will take out the essence of that terms. This was absolutely no genocide, and all leading historians in the world nowadays, you are interviewing me today is November 5th, if I'm not wrong, 5th or 6th, correct me if I'm wrong, November 2024, leading historians in the world, including the late Professor Bauer, Yehuda Bauer, the leading
yes.
Holocaust researcher who died last week in Israel. He was 98 years old. He also said, and I think if he says, we have to believe, not only our commission, but leading historians said that was not a genocide. And this is clear. Everybody who researches this case comes to that conclusion. I mean, a genocide is something different, not what happened in Srebrenica. And this is what our commission, this is the consequence our commission came to. This was a heavy crime, a severe crime. We say it, black and white. You can read it in our report, which is published fully on internet. This was a crime. Perpetrators should be punished, but it cannot be titled genocide, because it was no genocide. The intention, one more sentence. The intention of the perpetrators was not to wipe out all the Bosnian people. That there was no such a plan. Absolutely no.
Veoma ste rado viđeni u Srbiji, često dolazite. Koje je vaše mišljenje o Srbiji i srpskom narodu?
I'm happy that you asked me that question. I remember my first visit in Belgrade about 11 years ago. You know, it's very strange. It didn't happen to me in any other country. The minute I came from the airport to the center city of Belgrade, I felt that I'm among friends. I can't even explain to you how I felt it, but really, and this feeling is still there. I came back from Belgrade last week, and I enjoyed the friendship of the people. Really, I liked the Serbian people, I admit. I like the Serbians. They are nice people, friendly. And this makes your stay in Serbia a very pleasant experience. I like Serbians. I like their history. We have much in common. We Jewish people and the Serbian people, we have very much in common. We were persecuted. We were hated. By the way, 10 minutes before this interview, my city, Tel Aviv, was twice bombarded. I have to go down to the shelter. Some missiles from Lebanon came, and you can imagine, because Belgrade was bombarded by NATO. But if I tell this somebody in Copenhagen, he will not understand what I'm talking about. Yes, 10 years ago, Tel Aviv was bombarded by rockets, by missiles. It's incredible. You cannot even think about such incredible facts. So we have much in common. You were bombarded by NATO. We are now bombarded. Even this minute can a siren come, and I will have to leave the interview in the middle. So I like to be in Serbia. I like the Serbians, and I don't hide these feelings. I'm proud to be a friend of the Serbian people. I'm very proud about it.
Profesore, kada sam vas pozvao, rekli ste da se čujemo za 7-8 minuta jer je Tel Aviv bombardovan i da ste vi pod paljbom koja dolazi od strane Hamasa. Moram da vas pitam kakva je situacija u Izraelu, kakva je situacija u Tel Avivu, šta se zaista dešava u vašoj zemlji?
On our Sukkot holiday, it was the 7th of October 2023, we were heavily attacked by terrorists of Hamas from the Gaza Strip. More than 1,200 women, children, babies, men were slaughtered, really slaughtered, burned alive, women were raped. We had to defend ourselves, so we attacked the terrorists, and there is still a war going on since October 7th, 2023. The war has been expanded now to Lebanon, which also Hezbollah attacked us on October 8th, 2023, one day after the beginning of the cruel attack on behalf of the Hamas. Hezbollah attacked Israel. Civilians had to leave their cities in the north and in the south. We are under war. We are attacked, and Iran attacked us 2 times with, I think, 400 ballistic missiles. Can you imagine? 400 ballistic missiles in 2 nights by Iran.
Terrible.
So we are under attack, but we have to defend ourselves. Otherwise, we will all be slaughtered. So we have to be strong to defend ourselves. And we have a good army. Thanks God, we have a very good army, an excellent army. I wish all our soldiers to come back safely. We need them. We had, unfortunately, many losses. Until now, 800 soldiers, men and women. We have women in the army, of course. Also, I wish them to come back safely, because 800 soldiers were already killed during this war. And not to forget, we still have 101 captured Israelis, civilians and soldiers in Gaza. Who knows if they are still alive, because the conditions they get are like the conditions in Jasenovac. Believe me, what they get to eat, the conditions of accommodation, this is like an extermination camp, like Auschwitz and like Jasenovac. We know this when some came home, how they looked like, skeletons. And we do all efforts to bring them home, and I wish them to survive until they will be released from this hell called the Gaza Strip. And by the way, the Hamas is so cruel, like the USTAŠAMA and like the Germans. They keep 2 children. One was a baby of 8 months. Imagine, a baby of 8 months was captured with his mother and his brother, who was 2 or 3 years old. They are still in captivity, and I pray God that they are still alive with their mother. Who knows? This is such a tragedy. And so the war goes on. And to conclude our interview, Mr. Darko, I have to admit that few minutes ago I had to leave my apartment, go 4 levels downstairs to the shelter. Otherwise I would be killed by a rocket from heaven. Yes, we are at war. We will defend ourselves until victory.
Profesore, hvala vam puno što ste razgovarali sa Zlojutrom. Učinili ste mi veliku čast da gostujete u mom podcastu. Hvala vam najlepše.
Thank you very much. Bye bye.
Bye bye. To bi bilo to. Gledali ste ekskluzivni intervju sa Gideonom Grajfom u razgovorima sa Zlojutrom. Zaista jedna velika ekskluziva i velika čast koju je učinio profesor Gideon Grajf. Gledamo se i sljedećeg četvrtka od 19 časova. Do tada zapratite naše kanale na YouTubeu, Instagramu, TikToku. Komentarišite, kritikujte, sve je dozvoljeno. Mi ćemo biti sve jači i jači, jer kao što i sam profesor rekao, a i stalno to ponavljamo iz emisije u emisiju, moto ove emisije je važno je da razgovaramo. Do gledanja.